Season 3 is here on Friday, March 10th, and along with basic changes that Neo posted on his socials, the Discord announcement goes far more in depth looking at the changes for the next season of the Neonetwork Skyblock server, and by god am I excited. A complete overhaul to the meta, a bunch of quality of life changes, and a battle pass? A bunch of these changes and more will be covered in this not so quick overview of all the changes coming to the Neonetwork Skyblock Season 3. So strap in and let's get into it. So let's start with the first change. Majorly buffed auto sell chest upgrades. Auto sell chests can now sell for 100% their sell value and sell every 30 seconds at max level. All sell chests can now sell with all Allen boosters including masteries, universal sell, and rotating shop. This is a massive change. So basically what will happen if I do /is upgrade and go to my auto sell chest, right now it's not upgraded much, but it went to the current sell value of 75% every 250 seconds. What would happen is every level you do in this, all it would do is go down in time, so it would sell more frequently. That basically means you would need less auto sell chests, because if you look at this one, you see it slowly fills up every time these break. But if I had more cactus than the auto sell chest could keep, eventually it would overflow and I need more auto sell chests or I need more upgrades. The other important thing is that it was always at 75%. Now that it goes to 100%, you're getting a lot more money for your value. But there's one more important thing, and that's with the fact that it now scales with boosters. This is a godsend. So if I did /rotating shop, you'd see there's a bunch of items on rotating shop, including copper and emeralds, cod, beetroot, pumpkins. Basically what could happen is I could make use of the auto sell chest feature to make as much use as possible. So with 3 new items on the rotating shop, including copper, emerald, and nether quartz, all being mining items, basically it allows you to set up an auto sell chest next to your mine and make a bunch of money without having to go to the effort of consistently pressing auto sell all the time over and over again. So you can just run through these freely, all the money goes to auto sell chest, it immediately sells, and now that it scales with boosters, you're not concerned about, oh, I'm gonna lose more money if I use them. It all goes into the hoppers and you get all that money immediately. I think this is a massive change to auto sell chests and will make them a lot better than they were before. Basically, the only thing you ever use auto sell chests for was to like make cactus farms, and it just became a bit disappointing when it's like, okay, well I can't put them in sugarcane farms, and usually it would be like, okay, everything goes to my overflow, that's better. But there's another change that we'll talk about very soon that actually makes this significantly better than it should be. And funny enough, that gets us directly into the second change, which is overflow. Overflow is now changed to not include boosters when selling. Our hope with this is that the overflow will stop being meta and players will use auto sell chests or sell from their inventory more. Now this is basically what I was talking about before, and it was the meta of everyone would always put everything in their auto sell chest and just mass sell from it immediately. So if I go over to my servants right now, you'll see I have about 6 servants that are all Vex. What I'd do is I'd go collect all and I'd just run through all of these non-stop. You see that at the bottom, it will say that all of them get added to the overflow, and it wouldn't really matter to me. Because basically what I could do now is I'd sell all, and then I just go to my overflow, and I just click sell all again, and it would just immediately sell my entire overflow. Yeah, so basically people would like max out their Vex mastery, so that they would actually get more sell boosters, and then go to their overflow and sell all these stuff for so much more money. I didn't actually play much this season because of stuff happening with school and a bunch of other stuff, but there are a bunch of players now with a bunch of Vex spawners, a bunch of Vex mastery, and they're just making so much money passively just by logging on, collecting all their servants, selling their overflow, and then going to do anything else. It was a lot less fun because it wasn't as active as they wanted it to be, but now it should be a lot more fun, a lot more active, and allow a lot more people to consistently play the game throughout the season. But then that immediately brings up a new concern, which is that the overflow being removed of its purpose kind of feels really bad. I mean, a lot of people when they farm need the overflow in order to make sure that they don't have to keep pressing sell all the time, and it's like really unfun to have to worry about that, especially with these big farms. So what they do basically is, let's say I'm at my wheat farm right here. If I right click and just ran through all of these like non-stop, eventually you'll see it says everything is being added to my overflow. This is really helpful because basically what I can do is just non-stop just sit here, just grinding wheat for a little bit, and then I just do /sell, sell all, go to my overflow, and sell again. And just like that, make a quick 80k. That was like 5 seconds, $80,000. Now it's important to notice something very important. That's that the money I actually get from the wheat is not the actual amount I'm truly getting. So right here it says that the wheat sells for 640, but when I do it, you actually see it sells for 36,000. Obviously, if I gathered a bunch of wheat overall, and I went to my overflow, the same thing would happen. It's way to say it sells for a certain amount, but I actually sell all, you can do the math based on the fact that it's actually accounting for something very important, and that is masteries. Now, if I go to my mastery and check my wheat mastery, you'll see that tier 6, which is what I have, it triples the sell price of wheat. This is very important because that's basically how people grind. They grind a bunch of their masteries, it all goes to overflow, then whenever they're ready to go to overflow, they sell it, and they make a bunch of money because of this increased triple sell price. So the big thing now is that now that I do this, it all goes to my overflow. How am I actually going to be making money? I'll have to be sitting here waiting, doing /sell all the time, or I have to make sure I turn on auto sell, which is really unfun, which is important to go into the next change that they made, item condensing. So with the overflow change, items will now condense. If you have 1600 crops or mob drops in your inventory, they'll automatically condense into one item. When sold, this item will be worth 1600 of the original item and apply all boosters the item has active, and this item cannot be traded. So this is a massive change and makes farming so much more easy than it was before, even before the overflow change, and it's actually something I really agree with. So basically, it will always go up to 1600, and I'm not sure why they didn't say how much 1600 was, but like they could have said, okay, it's in 25 stacks, which is what 1600 is, it's 25 stacks. So basically, if you have 25 stacks of an item, it will automatically combine into one basically mega item that you can just sell for the same amount of money. So 25 stacks is about 2 rows and 7. So basically, make sure you always have space for 2 rows and 7, and you should be fine. Now, this does come at a slight concern to me when I talk about wheat, and that is because wheat seeds actually go up to 2 rows and 6, and in fact, you're getting wheat seeds, not actually wheat, you're getting a lot more wheat seeds. So I do hope one thing that wheat is also condensable, wheat seeds, because I'm not sure if the wheat seeds themselves will be condensable, and then even if they are, it's important to remember that you have to have 2 extra spots. So instead of having like all my items here, my harvester, you have to make sure you have an empty inventory. So this way you always get up to 2 rows and 7. So I'm going to do this real quick without like any items. And then we're going to basically see that it is going to, I believe, go up to 2 rows and 7. Yeah, so right here you see it goes up to 2 rows and 7. I assume this is why they chose 1600 items, specifically so seeds can fit in. So my assumption is that seeds will in fact stack, but there's no way for us to know for now. And also, when you do end up getting that like mega wheat seed, you'll have 1 spot removed. So I don't know if it will actually be able to fit in with that mega seed like intact. So we'll see how they do that, and maybe they'll lower the number or include wheat seeds. We'll really see. For now, I think it's an amazing change, specifically with cactus and potatoes and sugarcane. But in regards of wheat, which is what a lot of people start off with, and it's a lot better because you can get 3 at a time, which is really helpful for grinding sky coins. But I mean, that's another important thing we're also going to talk about. There's a lot of like super cool changes they made this season. But yeah, wheat's really good for grinding sky coins, so we'll see exactly how that works next season. But for now, just be excited to make farming potatoes and carrots so much more easy. Now, a next important change that's super huge and I really love it, it's actually something I was thinking of that I didn't even mention to them. So the fact that they're like doing stuff that I was just considering is like massive for the server, and I'm really excited for the future of the server. But it's that master tools can now use crafting recipes and can break. So make sure you watch out. If they break, your data will be saved when you craft them. This is really, really important because what would happen is there was a lot of auto clickers and a lot of auto miners that there's no way to really register when they do these things, because I mean, a lot of them were solo or just not paying attention. And it was just a pain to deal with for both the mods and developers and everyone like related. So this basically like nullifies them entirely. You can't auto mine or auto click, especially AFK, because your items can now break. So right now, obviously, you see, I can like left click as much as I want, and my items will never break. They'll just sit here and they'll just like be infinite, basically. But basically, what will happen next season is they'll have a durability, they'll be able to break. But, and this is very important, all your progress will save. So no matter what, even if they do break, you just have to craft them back again. But they will cost a certain amount, and I assume a pretty decent amount to recraft. Maybe some enchanted items, maybe a little bit of money, I'm not sure. But they will cost a decent amount just to remake, and I think that's a really, really awesome change. Another important thing that I'm kind of interested about is if they will drop on death. So previous it was made so they wouldn't drop on death, but now that you can recraft them and keep your progress, maybe they will drop on death, which I think will be a very, very important change. So what would happen that was like really, really toxic is that, okay, this is perfect, people are down there. But what would happen is people would actually go and keep dropping down non-stop as much as they want, but with their swords. As you see, he's going in there and he doesn't care if he dies because the sword would never drop. So literally if I went down here and I just started hitting this guy because I'm hitting him for fun, he's gonna now kill me. And as you see, I kept my sword. I didn't lose it, and it's full enchanted. It has fire aspect, sharpness, looting, unbreaking, and all of these enchants, and it doesn't matter at all. Because what would happen is people just max enchant, jump down, rinse and repeat. Like, I'll go in there again. I don't even care. Like, I'll just run down. Like, who knows? Maybe I'll kill him. And people just do this non-stop. He would farm kills, people, like, get killed, and it doesn't even matter. Like, he can kill me right now, and I'll just get my sword back. Nothing would matter. So I really hope they also remove that aspect because, like, it's interesting, it's fun for, like, new people who just have nothing else, so I'll go down and have fun, but it's also really boring to, like, never, ever be able to take someone's sword, and also the second you max enchant your sword, you never have to worry about it ever again. So I really do hope they change that and make it so we don't have to, like, worry about never getting a sword from people ever again, especially since you can now recraft it and keep all your progress. So the next change is pretty important, and it has to do with the infamous servants. So, servant timers, so servants are less OP immediately. This was based on community feedback and to balance out servers. So I'm not sure entirely what they do mean by servant timer. This could mean a lot of things. It could mean that the time required for a servant to, like, actually kill and slay is increased. So right now at max servants, it costs, I believe, well, not costs, it takes about 6.5 seconds for them to kill and slay. So they're getting their rewards every 12 seconds, and they get like 24, which is massive. This servant timer could increase that time so they take longer, so that way you get less money earlier, but I'm not entirely sure how that works. Basically what would happen is people would have thousands of servants lined up, make a bunch of money, and effectively there was no chance that people who started late would ever catch up. I also think what this could mean is that they're adding a timer to how soon you can place a certain amount of servants. So I know last season what happened is some people would buy a bunch of servants and people felt like it was like impossible to ever catch up because a servant was worth 2 million sky coins, and they're basically buying these 2 million sky coins straight to buy the servants, which they wouldn't have to spend later, which just was more money for them, and people were like really angry about that. So maybe they're making it so that you can't place a certain amount of servants early, or I'm not entirely sure what they're doing with this line, but the fact that they want to balance out servants is really good and something I'm excited to see go through. But what I'm really, really excited for is the next change, and that is an addition of something called artifacts. So artifacts, which you can use chunk hoppers to craft, which will boost the sell price of your mastery minions. Now, it's very important to know that mastery minions is bold here. It's not actually bold because what happens is bold uses these two asterisks to show in Discord, but because they used it in like a code system, you can't actually see the bold, but they want it to be bold. And this is important because basically it's specifying mastery minions. This isn't servants, this is mastery minions. Now, if you don't know, I love mastery minions. I love having like a big line of them, basically making you money, printing you mastery points. So if I was to do /masteries, basically you'd see that I have tier 6 masteries because I don't really AFK on this, so I don't have a lot, but I would have a lot more if they were higher and they're higher tier. Right now they're all tier 1 because statistically speaking it doesn't really make sense to max them out to tier 6, especially because you can use the heads for other things like in the head shop. So to gain mastery for cheapest, keep at tier 1. I believe tier 6 is the best for your money to mastery, but basically never go anything over tier 6 because it's just really not worth it. But basically now it will be worth it because what you can do now is make a bunch of money from them. So the problem now is, as you see, they work every so often, and what they do is they give you 1 mastery point per kill, and this time per kill goes down. So as you see, my Lapis 10 minion is working a lot faster than my skeletons and spiders because it's tier 10 and these are tier 1. But basically what would happen now is, since they're giving you money and the artifacts give you a lot more money, because prior they just sell 1 cell and it was not really worth a lot of money at all. But if these actually boost it by a significant amount, that would be massive and make it so mastery minions are probably like just as good as using servants, which is a big thing a lot of people complained about, that mastery minions felt kind of useless. The second you get them to max mastery, you kind of just throw it out because you don't need it anymore. It's useless. So hopefully this will make it a lot more fun, where people will not only have a bunch of Vex servants, but a bunch of Vex minions as well, which would make it like a lot more balance for other people, because getting minions is a lot more fun and a lot more interactive than getting servants, in my opinion. Now, the next change is really cool in my opinion, and they have to do with the Lucky Block. So a new change is added called the Lucky Block Island Upgrade. So you can open up to 20 blocks per hour with rewards and buff scaling. This is very, very important, because what would happen is the Lucky Block is an item that whenever you break it, you actually increase the type of rewards you can get from it. So if I was to go down here and break this, I broke it 7 times early and I got an advanced book. But if I break it more, I can actually get really unlucky, get a bunch of TNT, get some water. Okay, I didn't get much there. But basically you can get cell wands, advanced enchant books, and actually a bunch of like, well, evidently goats, but also you can get a bunch of like crop hoppers and stuff like that. I assume now with this change, it's going to, instead of scaling on breaking, it's going to scale with upgrades. But the other important thing is that you'll now be able to break up to 20 per hour instead of 10 per hour. So I think this is really good, a really good change. I like having a physical representation of how your Lucky Block is upgrading. Right now, you have no really clue, and people didn't really feel like doing it as often. It was kind of just like, oh, the Lucky Blocks, I might as well hit it. Now people would feel inclined to consistently break their Lucky Block to make sure they're getting these upgrades as much as physically possible. Now the next change has to do with deboss, and this one is really, really good. So if I go to deboss armor, you're going to see a list of all the different dragon armors that we have in the game. We have explosive, colossal, experience, hasty, defensive, ancient, and champion. Stuff like explosive was genuinely useless. Like gaining double mastery points, especially at such a low rate, was pretty much useless to a lot of people because it didn't really matter. A lot of people had like their minions doing that anyway, so it was a good thing sometimes, but it was really specific. People would usually only use it to either max out their cactus mastery or max out their vex mastery. Beyond that, no one cared. So the way it will work pretty much now is that each of them will have their own specific thing. Now, funny enough, we actually have somewhere we can go to generally reference what this may look like. So this is me on the survival SMP world, and basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to do /deboss here, and you're going to see we can actually see all the armors, and each of them has far different things. So explosive now gives an ore cell booster, colossal now gives a crop cell booster, experience gives you enchant books, which I think is a really, really good thing. Actually being able to get enchant books and XP boost basically means you get a bunch of experience. Hasty highlights nearby ores. I don't think they'll keep this in Skyblock, but it is a change that does exist, so it lets you know that they can basically do anything they want with these dragon armors. Ancient gives a mob drop cell booster, and then Champion allows you to gain double power. So that shows you one, they can do pretty much anything they want with these armors, and gives you a general idea of how they want to specify it, maybe having one armor for crops, one for mobs, etc., so that if you're buying these armors, you want to buy a specific set, and if you're grinding these armors, you actually feel like, oh, well, I have a bunch of hasty instead of explosive. I'm gonna, in that case, grind mobs instead of ores until I get more of these. I like it. I think it's really cool. It basically gives each of them their own personality, and I think that's an amazing change, genuinely. Now, this next change is a change I think will revolutionize how the server works. The next change is that mining now gives 3 times the amount of sky coins, while sky coins from farming has been reduced. Bless this change. Farming has been too broken for far too long, and it was genuinely unfun to see every single top faction have a giant like wave of potatoes, and it was so dreadful to see. And like they made like all these really big changes to mining to make it more fun, added more enchants just for them to also add a bunch of farming stuff, and it was just unfun. Like it was just farming nonstop, everyone all the time. Like if I did MC top herbalism, it like there are people at 10,000. Yeah, Ice top being Vampire Eyes, that's literally the #1 faction having over 10,000 farming XP. So if I do /skycoin list, I'll see a list of all the money you can basically get from sky coins. If I go to ores, you'll see that stone gives a 30% chance for 1 sky coin, all the way up to Ancient Debris, giving a 30% chance for 10 Sky Coins. The problem with Ancient Debris is when you get it, it actually doesn't insta-break with your Super Pickaxe, unless I believe you have like really high haste and efficiency, so you should be fine, but I'm not sure exactly how that'll work. But basically, now Emerald Blocks will give 21 Sky Coins. Emeralds will give 12 Sky Coins. This is a massive change. So farming right now would have a 50% of 3 Sky Coins, but you can probably break around, I'd say, 5, maybe 6 blocks per second. If I was to mine, I can usually break like 1, maybe 2 blocks per second. But the important thing is that when I activate Super Breaker, I can mine so much, probably a lot faster than what I do with Herbalism. But the difference is Herbalism I can do non-stop all the time. This I can physically only do when I have Super Breaker. This means get your mining level up. Make your Super Breaker last as long as physically possible and do this off cooldown. You will gain so much Sky Coins, it will be insane. So that's a change I'm super duper excited for, especially because I have like this really cool setup for my cobblestone gen, which is something I'll probably make a video on later just to make sure you understand it. I know Cairo made a video on this and a bunch of people have made similar videos. It's based off the Hypixel Skyblock one a lot of people use, but just with my own little flair into it, especially with the top bit, which I'll explain if people do want the other video. If you do want that video, let me know. I will make it. So do make sure it's like, let me know in the comments so I know if it is worth for me to make the video. The next change is a new pickaxe, swords, axe, and bow skins with new skin abilities. So if you don't know if I do slash skins, you can actually see there's a bunch of different skins for a bunch of different events. There's Valentine skins, Christmas skins, Halloween skins, and of course the base sword, axe, and pickaxe skins. The Thanksgiving skins I don't believe have any effects on them, but what can happen if I go to sword skins and go to skin abilities, you'll see there's a bunch of different skin abilities, like Berserker, which increases damage to bosses, Double Dropper, which increases your drop chance, Fragment Finder, which increases fragments when killing mobs, stuff like that, which are really, really, really good. But albeit, like, it's important that they're adding new skins, new abilities to the game that can make it feel fresh and have people have new additional things that they can get. The next thing you're adding is a new grind pass. So a new grind pass which can get a lot of rewards. I assume it's like the standard battle pass you have in video games. So probably there'll be something like you gain battle pass, well, grind pass XP for killing mobs, for grinding crops, for breaking blocks, and basically you gain this XP and you work through the pass, and as you grind more you go consistently through the pass. And I assume there'll be a paid version because every battle pass has a paid version, so that'll probably make sense, just something you can grind through. I always love battle pass in games. I think they're really fun and really like creative, so I'm happy to see it. Not really much you can say about it. It's a battle pass. Woo. Now, the next change goes into rotating shop, and I actually really like this change. It's a change I wanted to promote, but once again, there's a lot of changes that I were like, it would be so cool if this was added. I want to promote it, and then I didn't, and it's been added, and I think it's so awesome because it shows that the developers like care and they're listening, and that there are people that listen to the suggestions. I think it's amazing. But basically, they added rare drops to the rotating shop at a 1.5 times sell rate. Now, this is really, really, really important to consider. They can only be at a 1.5 times sell rate. That pretty much means you'll never see stuff like standard beetroot and pumpkin in the rotating shop, because stuff like melon seeds, fermented spider eyes, they'll like most likely take over these a lot more often. Given that they sell for so much more than standard items, there's a lot of times they might sell for more than the actual copper ingots. So it's important to know that a lot of these rare drops are really, really, really expensive. So even though, let's say, beacons are on the 1.5 time boost, and let's say ender pearls are on the 3 times boost, I mean, I guess those don't really count because they come from the same thing, but let's say, for instance, blaze rods are on the 3 times boost. Blaze rods sell for 7, so 3 times that's about 21. So sure, you might get 21 from blaze rods, you grind blaze rods, but for the slight chance you get the beacon with a 1.5 times sell boost, you may end up getting a lot more money. So you want to make sure you grind up to tier 5 in a lot of these different mobs, important ones like wither skeletons, like endermen, so that you get that tier 5 double, like 50% increase in rare drops. That way, for the slight chance it shows up in the rotating shop, you actually can make sure you capitalize off that as much as physically possible. I think it's just a really cool change. I think personally they should make it also up to 2 times, not just 1.5 times. Definitely not 3 times, that might be a bit too much, but I think 2 times should be fine rather than just 1.5. We'll see what they decide on. I think it's an amazing change regardless, but yeah, we'll see. The next change has to do with masteries actually, and I think is really, really cool. So a new coal mastery which helps with pet egg drop rates. So if we were to do slash masteries right now and go over to coal, you'll see there's actually not a coal mastery. I actually thought there was. I thought there was a coal mastery about something, but there actually wasn't one at all. So what they're doing is they're adding a new mastery for coal that increases, so obviously as you see, the different like masteries do different things. This one gives double sell price of copper, obviously. Basic rune storage. Then endstone works on deboss. You have iron mastery, which allows you to craft hoppers. Gold mastery, which gives you minion boosters. Basically now they'll add a coal mastery that gives you increased pet eggs. If you don't know, pets are insane and really important because they allow you stuff like the heart pet, that's really good in PvP. Iron pet, really good in PvP. Mole pet, really important for grinding. Same with the rabbit pet, really important for grinding. Basically, you want to get as many of these pets as physically possible, and having a coal pet that increases the pet egg drop chance is super, super important. Adds more to mining, and I'm so excited to mine next season. I think it's going to be insane. The next change is more of a quality of life change, but basically they're removing the luck spinner and replacing it with a daily spinner. So if I do slash a luck spinner, you'll see that I have a reward I can get. I can get stuff like mine boosters, cell boosted, mob drops. Like, it's just random boosters you can get. And they last for, I believe, 6 hours. Yeah, so right there I got a 1.3 Skycone booster for 6 hours. So basically what I could do is I could just keep doing this. You can let them stack up. I believe once every day they can stack up. So you can actually spin a bunch of them. And you can have a bunch of them stacking together in order to give you a bunch of different rewards. I don't know if it'll work the same way. I assume since they're changing, it's going to work differently. Maybe it won't stack. Maybe you'll get different rewards. I'm excited to find out. There's no way for us to currently know. So truly, we'll just see how it's like. But I want it to be a lot better than it is right now. Luck Spinner in its current state is kind of just, okay, I guess I have a Luck Spinner, I'll do it, and I'll basically see if I get a universal booster so I can sell. And the chances are so low, a lot of people like didn't really care. So we'll basically see what the daily spinner is. Maybe it'll give like physical rewards or actually give money, or I don't know. We'll see. I'm excited to find out, but there's nothing for us to know about it until we see it. Obviously, when these changes do physically come out, I'm going to make another video physically going over what they are, like what they are in game, how they work, stuff like that. That's something you should make sure you look out forward to. I'm going to make sure I crunch out these numbers as quickly as possible so you guys can have info and know exactly what you're looking forward to getting into at the beginning of the season on Friday. So the new change is an interesting one, and it is a new vote party system where presents spawn at spawn. I like this change a lot. Basically, what would happen is this will promote actively being online during a vote party. Instead of just saying, oh, I'm online, I get a reward, you'll actually have to go out of your way to go to spawn, and then what would happen is a bunch of presents would spawn around on the floor. You can right-click them, get rewards, hopefully you get crates and keys and stuff, but we'll see. But that's basically how it'll work. It's an active vote party, which I think is a really cool change that more servers should have. Now back to the lucky block, and this change is so good. So what they're doing is they're adding a way to move the lucky blocks with /ice set lucky block. Obviously I'm in season 2, not season 3 right now, but basically you type ice lucky block, I could do /ice set block limit, and it would allow you to move where the lucky block is located. I made my base up in the sky because I like building a cactus farm under and all my farms going up, but the lucky block was inconveniently in the way of everything. Now how this will work is I could probably like go up here, go in this empty space right here, it's like I select lucky block, type it in, and move the lucky block. Very important, very cool, and allows you to basically not have to have that sitting in the middle of your base, not be able to do anything with it, not be able to build around it. So it's a cool change, simple change, quality of life, happy it's in. Now the next change is so good. I love this. This is coming from me, person who love PvP, love the events, the envoys, the costs, the black market. I think it's really awesome and fun to do with. So basically what they're doing is they're adding scaling Koth rewards based on how many Koths have happened so far. So right over there is a Koth. There's actually an envoy going on right now, funny enough. But basically what would happen is people would go to the Koth. I just went there for fun. because at some point the Koth gave you like 10,000 coins and some 500 sky coins, and it's like, well, there's not really a point to be at the Koth, but now there will be. Since they're scaling rewards further in the season, you'll actually get better and bigger rewards from the Koth. Obviously, this also means better players will be online, more players will be rewarded, and what that means is more people go down to the Koth to fight, and I'm super excited for this. I think it's an amazing change. I really want to see it go through. I'm excited to see what these rewards will be. Hopefully it'll be items as well. I don't want it to just be, oh, here's 1,000,000 sky coins, and here's 100 billion money. I hope it's like, oh, here's a protection 5 chestplate, or here is like a spawner or something. I think that'll be really cool, awesome change, and I'm excited to see it go through pretty much. Now the next change is a change I don't really understand, and if you understand this or it makes sense to you, let me know in chat. But basically what they're doing is they're adding an item to show all mastery crafting recipes. I don't know what this means, because if I did /masteries and let's say I went to crafting, you could just click view recipes right here and it would show you every single thing. If I clicked it, it showed you the recipe, and you can just see every single recipe of every single mastery crafting item. So I don't know what this is. Please let me know in the chat, or if you have any ideas what it might be. Maybe a dev could let me know. I don't know what it is, so we'll just see next season. Now, another change they added, which I think is very important and very huge because a lot of people didn't like this, and this is removing the 5% requirement for island missions. So what would happen is there's a bunch of island missions that you could have that were tiered basically. So there were soul collector, smelter, spawner collector, a bunch of different missions. So what would happen is there were certain rewards that were very specific. So for instance, the capitalist tag per player. What would happen is every player that contributed to the mission would get this tag. The problem with that, what would happen is, let's say someone joined the island and then they left for whatever reason, or they were AFK for a week, and someone grinded out this tag. It felt even worse to be on an island and someone else grinded it, and then you couldn't get it, and then there's nothing you could do to get it because your island already got it, and there was just nothing you could do. I'm happy they're changing it. I don't know if they're adding like a new system to replace that to make sure it doesn't get abused. But regardless, I think it's better for it to be abused than for you to physically not be able to get the tag that you were on the island to get in the first place. So what they're adding right now is adding a way to merge cell ones. So that it's merge cell ones, which obviously is in the game right now. Basically, if you had like multiple cell ones in your inventory, it will merge it into one cumulative cell wand. The next change is a change I also don't understand, mainly because I never unlocked the Nether on this account because I stopped playing a little bit earlier. But if I did /ice top, what you'd see is there's actually, where are they? Mizu's Island. Mizu Island unlocked the Nether and they had a bunch of netherite blocks and diamond blocks. I'm not sure how they got this because every other island didn't really do the Nether too much. So I assume there was a problem where the Nether wasn't worth as much as they wanted it to be. So what they're doing is they're adding a way for you to purchase value in the Nether. I assume with normal dollars, maybe you can buy the blocks and put them in the Nether. Because I know before what would happen is you went in the Nether and it basically like reset your account, kind of. So you go in the Nether and it was a whole different island with a whole different progression, but it gave you more sky coins. So I assume what happens, a lot of people is like, I'm not going to waste my time going into the Nether when I could just grind here. And then Mizu did it, and obviously they're island rank 5, so it clearly didn't work. So I assume they're now adding a way to purchase in the Nether. So basically you unlock the Nether, you can then purchase the value, and it gives you more. So I'm not sure how this will work out. We'll kind of see how this works. If you're a high rank in faction and understands how this will impact the game, let me know. I wouldn't know. I just PvP and give information. That's all I'm for. So let me know. The next change is massive, super important, and I think is one of the best changes they have ever added, downright period, without a doubt. So basically what I'm going to do here is I'm going to like place down these diamonds, and you're going to see obviously when I mine them, I get a lot more than 4 diamonds. This is because of fortune. Basically what they're doing is they're making it so it works on blocks. Now, obviously, I doubt this is going to work on placed blocks, but this is just an example. Obviously, I have my super, like, cobblestone generator going on over there with, like, gold blocks and lapis blocks. Basically, what will happen is when you mine these, you actually won't get just one block. You'll actually end up getting multiple blocks. I think it's an amazing change that's going to make mining super duper good. Basically, what would happen before is upgrading your generator kind of felt counterintuitive because you'd end up getting a lot more blocks than you'd get ores, and because of that, fortune on your pickaxe just didn't really work. Now, given that the blocks will work with fortune, you'll end up getting a lot more actual value from your smelter, and mining is going to be so much more better, and I'm so excited for it. I think it's an amazing change. I'm so excited. So next thing they're doing is they're adding counters to mastery tools. This is an interesting change. So if I looked at my sword, for instance, it's going to tell me how many player kills and mob kills it has, and on the super pickaxe how many blocks have been broken. But if I look at the farmer's harvester, it actually tells you each individual item that you break. Hopefully what this is saying is that they're basically doing that for the super pickaxe and the slayer blade, is they're telling you how many mobs of each you've killed, as well as how many blocks of each you've broken. Otherwise, it could be saying it's going to give you a counter of how many blocks you need to get to the next level. Both of these I think would be amazing changes. I'm okay with either of them. Hopefully we get both, but there's no way for us to find out for now. Regardless, I think that is going to be a really good change. I'm excited to find out how it works. The next important change to consider is deboss fragment rerolling. Now, I don't know exactly how it's going to work, obviously, because we don't have physical info, but if I go to my PV1, you're going to see I have a bunch of, like, different fragments. So basically how it's going to work, like, in theory, is that maybe there'll be a system where you type /deboss, and you click it, and then you put in 3 fragments, and you get a random fragment, like, just random. Like, let's say I put in 3 colossal fragments, I might get a hasty, might get an experience, I might get defensive, or I might get an explosive. I mean, it's just that simple. It's a reroll, not much you can say there. I'm happy that that change was made, but this change I don't think that needed to be made, and that is adding an AFK timer to the deboss arena. I assume if someone sits here for 2 minutes, it just kicks them. I don't think that's necessary, because once again, they're wasting time regardless, where they could be getting the money to buy the fragments. But I mean, if it makes grinding for eyes more fun and something that I can, like, enjoy doing, I have nothing against it. If I can run in here, kill it, and maybe even solo the deboss sometimes, I'm 100% okay with doing that. That sounds like a great time. Now, there are 2 other important things that I have listed here, and that is a brand new XP shop and various balancing changes. Both of these I think are awesome, but obviously we have no info whatsoever about them to make any general reference. Obviously, a lot of things were unbalanced last season because, I mean, people would scale up really fast and become really powerful, but just with all the changes they'd made prior, I think that deals with balancing a huge bit. So the fact that there's another extra segment about these various balancing changes makes me very excited for what that might be. Same with the XP shop, we have no idea what the XP shop really could be. I've heard you can potentially buy deboss fragments from it, so that's pretty cool. But generally, there's no way to know, and we kind of have to find out next season what those really are, though I'm really excited to find out. Regardless, thanks you guys so much for watching. I'm so excited for season 3. Like, it's insane. I remember when season 2 came out and I made a similar video to this. It did really well, and I was really happy to make it. And when it did come out, it was so helpful for everyone. I'm so excited to do this, and I'm so excited for season 3. Regardless, I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye bye. Trying to get it done. Lost faith for a minute there. Working hard in the hot sun.